Okay, so let's finish kind of on this. Your Instagram is insane. It wasn't always insane though.
No.
Do you remember and I have to assume getting to 200,000, there were a couple moments where you had a couple posts or something that kind of took you to the next level. What does it take to be on the top of a mountain, Katie? Like, can you start us in the kind of the beginning before it really got rolling, where you're, but where were the kind of leaps for you? And what is it that you kind of, do you have some rules for us? Like, how do we be you?
Yeah. Hilarious, because I specifically remember I was on like a family vacation. It must have been 3 years ago. And I was like, everyone needs to make an Instagram account and they need to follow me because I am almost at 500 followers, and like something opened up if you hit 500 followers. So my parents like follow me, like they don't use Instagram at all. So I remember that happening. And then I don't remember when it switches. Like it switches from, it counts, I think when you hit 10K, then it just goes to like 10K or something like that. So I remember that being like big deal. Like it's no longer giving you like the one count on it. And then I remember like really making a push. And so like the push with Instagram, I used to kind of have it figured out. I've gotten a little lazy with it, which is not lazy. Different priorities have taken over. But it really is consistency. Like you're posting daily. And then like quality content, and kind of, as I alluded to in the beginning, like you make content for things that, I mean, stuff that you can stand behind, obviously, but it really isn't for you. Like it's for the people that are viewing you or come to find you. So you got to give them a little bit of what they want too. Cause I mean, I can post about super abstract things that nobody cares about. Like that's fine. It's always the really simple stuff that blows up. Like I remember it was a chin retraction video that I was like, as I'm posting, I'm like, this is stupid. Everyone knows this. No, like it took off. It was like, people were super thankful for it. It like kind of catapulted me to whatever level I was at that point. So you want to keep it simple, which is really what I try to do with it. Like, I don't want to be the super scientific abstract one. Like I want to bring it down to a level that's like easily digestible for people. And so those are kind of like my three things, like consistency, quality, and then making sure that it's content that people want to see.
I have just a little follow-up, which would be the pros and cons of your Instagram itself. Because like sometimes people will find out, like my wife has Iceland with the View, which she made out of nothing kind of by accident. And then now she loves working on it and she's got followers and stuff. And people will find out about her success and they'll go, oh, I should make a site about traveling to Arizona or something. I'm like, great, start it, write on it every single day, never miss, spend tons of hours after work posting every single day. And then maybe in 2 or 3 years, you'll get a kickback from Amazon from it. You know what I mean? So I hear them say, I want this. Like, I want to do what Katie's doing. And I want to do what Jeannie's doing. And I think they just don't know what it takes. And you tell people what it takes and they're like, I really didn't want to do that actually that much. So in a way, like, what are the pros and cons of you having this following and doing this page?
So like, I intentionally kept my head in the sand about it because it was however many hours I was putting in, like part-time job, no questions asked, like hours on hours. And now I have it kind of more streamlined, but I was just actually looking at something. It was like a repost that I kind of like revamped a little bit. So I didn't have to like do new videos, and I already had a little bit of the content that I was going to put into the message. And it still took me an hour, a solid hour. And that was like with everything at my fingertips. It's like, oh my God. So that's like the most, a lot of people reach out and it's super frustrating that they're like, oh yeah, you're at whatever the number is. Like that must've just happened. I was like, if you come at me, I swear.
How long have you been at this? I mean, you're at 200,000 something now.
How much money did you spend to get those followers?
Yeah, I bought all of my, no, I did not buy any
Russian
of my followers.
bots.
I think it's been 3 years. And I probably didn't really take it super seriously until like 10,000 followers maybe. I remember that I actually DM Jacob Harden and I was like, hey, is this going to turn into something that's helpful for my practice? Because it was like cool to spend the time doing it, but if I wasn't going to see any benefit from it, like what's the point in doing it? And he was like, yeah, just hang on a little bit longer. And with that, then people started to kind of comment, like not hordes of people, but people are like, oh, I found you through Instagram. Cool. So it really drove like my in-person stuff. But yeah, it's so much time and effort. And I think now, as I kind of took a break, we were on vacation and it was like so great just to totally disconnect. It adds a little bit of stress factor. Like if you're like, oh, I'm not going to hit this post, or I'm going to miss this, or like, do I really want to post or reply to comments right now? Like it really turns into a bit of a grind with it. Like anything, like it's discipline over feeling like inspired to do it. But that being said, like you kind of ebb and flow with that, right? Like I do enjoy it for the most part and find inspiration, but some days it is just a grind. You're like, all right, just put it out there and get her done.
How long would you say you spend on a post? Because I mean, some like I actually saw one of Jacob's posts the other day, and the dude wrote like a novel, and his videos, I don't know how much time he spends on Canva and like editing those things out, but like the dude put a lot of work into his post for sure. Mm-hmm. And having barely scraped the surface on our Instagram, I know it can take some work, but like how long does it take you to make a post generally?
It's probably like, I break it up now. If I were to like just sit down and do it, it'd probably be like an hour and a half to 2 hours per post. Like start from scratch, don't know what I'm going to say. Cause it's just like the videos and then recording the videos and then the cover photo and then what you're actually going to say in it. Cause people apparently read the captions. So that's important. Yeah, it's probably 2 hours easily.
Yeah.
But I break it up. So hopefully it doesn't feel that. I try to batch it. Like I try to like record not a bunch, but videos on one day and then kind of come up with what I'm going to do as opposed to like recreating or creating every single day.
Gotcha. So
that's a good hint. That's good for people.
So you like, you have a lazy Sunday and you're like, oh, I've got a couple ideas. And so you'll plan posts out for the week or
if I'm really on my game, yes. Yeah. Sometimes it's like Tuesday night and I was like, oh, I need to post something in like a couple hours and we'll throw it together then. But when I'm on my game, I like have stuff planned out for the week. I record it all at the beginning of the week and then it's just much easier to go through. But I don't want to shed a false light on myself. I'm not that put together most of the time. So
that's awesome. No, go ahead, Bobby.
Well, I was curious about, I think when I talked to you not too long ago, you mentioned that you were trying to do some more work for your followers. Like, are you creating any more content in a different way? Something that's deliverable? Like, are you making a book? Are you doing anything else? Working on anything?
Yeah, so I have an ebook, which was just kind of like my first go around, just low back and hip programming. And it's kind of like that baseline that I give a lot of people that come in with, like non-specific low back pain or like hip discomfort. And so that's ebook, pretty straightforward videos, me chatting, kind of lays out a program for that. I would love to do more of like a course and like, as I've been like, everyone wants mobility, like give the people what they want. So I kind of want to do like a hip mobility course. And just kind of some stuff that way that I can release to people that maybe they are the ones that know that them going in somewhere every couple of weeks isn't going to be helpful. They need just a program they can follow at home, and giving those options as well. So I do have a couple things, but I think I've had a lot of providers reach out. And so maybe like a course, webinar, seminar, virtual, is something I'm kind of playing around with in the back of my brain too. So
what are providers reaching out about?
It's honestly like a lot of people are like, oh, I use your exercises, or like, this was a great one to kind of turn over to my people too, which I'm always like flattered that other providers are finding it helpful. And so just kind of not an exercise like database, but just something to kind of like give some people some inspo if they want it to.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we have to have you back on, I think, because we didn't even get into some of your interests. I know they have to be like the neck and the shoulder and headaches and I think some of that came from a little bit of your own personal journey, right? Sometimes we find passion where we've struggled with our own injuries and our own bodies.
Yeah.
And anything else that if you come out with some content, we just want to bring you back on and talk about it. It'd be fun.
Yeah, I would love it. Big fan, you guys. Big fan.
We're a big fan of you. I can't tell you how many exercises. I'm like, I need some inspiration. What does Katie say about your thoracic spine mobility is on point. Like there are so many. It's a hard thing to get at for whatever reason. It's a hard thing for people to feel, I've found in clinic. And legit, I have gone to your page and I'm like, I feel like every time I see there's a thoracic spine mobility, maybe I'm just going on Tuesdays as thoracic spine. I don't know what it is, but I'm guilty of stealing your stuff and using it in clinic. So thank you for me. I know there've got to be other providers out there that steal from you and helping people. So, I mean, with that, as many people are seeing your stuff, I mean, I really do appreciate you putting stuff out there so consistently because it's helpful, legitimately.
Thank you. And that honestly is kind of the fire that keeps the drive going sometimes. I'm like, does anyone care? And then people reach out and I was like, all right, universe. But that being said, you guys have I feel inspired me, as I was kind of mentioning before we started recording, I always pick up something from either you guys or who you have on. I appreciate it. My next thing is the rib cage. You guys talk about rib cage a lot. I was like, I need to do some learning on that. So appreciate you guys too.
Well, I think that's the perfect note to end on. The blessing of Katie Claire on this podcast. I think that's the most important thing to end on. But yeah, if you guys haven't followed her on Instagram or bought her ebook or her upcoming webinar e-course, get on that. I don't know, whatever. Find her in Minnesota if you're around. But thank you so much for coming on. I really do appreciate it. And we'll definitely have to do this again and get into some nitty-gritty sarcasm stuff, clinical nonsense. But
for sure.
Thanks for having us. Don't know what I'm saying. Got my own podcast. But thanks for tuning in. Tune in next week. We'll see y'all. Peace.